you. So, we're here in Philly. Super excited. We're here in Philly with Aisha.
Yes.
Doing season 2 of the Black Americans. So, you had asked me, before we get into some other stuff, you had asked me about getting banned from Twitter.
Yes.
I got permanently banned from Twitter because I called Bruno Mars a culture vulture, and his millions of fucking stans mass reported me and said that I was bullying him.
That's crazy.
And I was like, quote unquote, using abusive language. And then I called Kanye West a coon.
Yeah.
And they said that that was also abusive language, and it was like racial. Like I was using like racial slurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I violated the policy. And apparently now Twitter has like a zero tolerance policy.
That's crazy.
So they banned me. They perma banned me. So like my IP address is banned, my email, everything. So.
That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It's funny too because people always say like, oh, it's like you can get around being banned if you use like certain types of words or certain types of language or certain types of like terminology. And I feel like the funny thing about like not just Twitter, but a lot of these like social media like outlets in general that are sort of rolling out these rules against like hate speech and whatnot is the funny thing is that they tend to, it's like you can't say coon, you can't say like nigga, stuff like that, which a lot of that stuff is, especially like as black people and like as Black Americans, a lot of that might be language that we just like use like every day amongst ourselves, like as slang, you know, language. And so, but it's like if you can say other things like
monkey,
right, you know, other things is seen as like fine. And so you have like especially like white supremacists and people like that they know how to like use certain types of language to get around the rules.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times the rules are just bullshit. Like
I still don't get how culture vulture is hate speech. First of all, it's an opinion, but
I think it's just because the number of people that like mass reported me.
Okay.
Because it's like on YouTube they call it downvote trolling.
Okay.
Which is basically where people will like post something somewhere and be like, everybody go downvote it, everybody go dislike it, everybody like go do this and this to it. And I think what happened with Twitter was that like literally like hundreds of thousands of like Bruno Mars like stans were like reporting me, and they were like reporting my tweets and like reporting my account. And so it's basically like they have an algorithm that like monitors it. Especially with Twitter. With YouTube is better because it's easier to get to like a real person. But especially with Twitter, they don't have real people for anything. It's just you get like flagged by the algorithm, and then it's kind of like that's it. Like you're done. You're out.
People have way too much time on their hands. Like, is it that serious? I just don't understand stan culture. That's all. Like, if you like somebody, you like somebody. But to the point, like, when you're getting like in your feelings because someone disagrees with someone that you like, it's like, okay, like, I don't understand.
Stan culture is weird. I don't know. We've been doing a lot of talking about stan culture and fan culture and like what is, I don't know. Like people be miserable as fuck, and they put. I feel like people be miserable in their real life, and they're putting their like hopes and dreams on like their faves, which is kind of fucking sick.
But living vicariously through them.
Yeah, like living vicariously through them.
And social media, it gave everybody a voice. Like pre-social media, people who were miserable didn't really have outlets to spread their misery. So you didn't hear them. And now it's like everybody can be a star, everybody can say their opinion, and everyone's talking, and everyone's getting their feelings hurt. And it's just like, I don't know. That's crazy.
Are you on Twitter?
I have like 6 tweets. Like I'm horrible. Like if I ever were in the event if I do become famous, someone else probably like run my account because I'm just not on my phone to the point. I'm on Instagram. I mean, I'm on there enough, but I'm not like, let me go put a post every second. I'm just living, you know, so I'm not like by my phone all the time. Let me go tweet this or I think this, blah, blah, blah. I'm on Facebook and mainly Instagram. So I got like 6 tweets, maybe 7. Yeah.
I was recently reading this article that was like, when did celebrities become so bad at taking criticism? It was something like that. Like, when did it become impossible to like criticize celebrities? And it made this really interesting link between like not just like stan culture, but also, so not just the fans, but also like the celebrities themselves. It's kind of like when you have nothing but like fans and like stans that are like constantly telling you like, you're great, you're amazing, you're wonderful, like everything you do is like brilliant and fantastic and this and that. And then you have like a critic or a cultural critic or a reviewer, whoever, say like, I didn't like it. I didn't like that album, or I didn't like that outfit, or I think this person's a culture vulture, or, you know, I think this, I think that. It's like people can't handle it. It's like not only do the fans like lose their shit, but the article I was reading was even talking about how like celebrities themselves are like so touchy and sensitive about criticism. Like, oh, well, who the fuck do you think you are to say like you didn't like my album and this, that, and the third? And like, I get it.
To an extent.
To an extent.
But if you're a celebrity, well, why do you even notice to an extent too? Like if you're this mega star, why are you not invested in what one person says? Like I have a background in teaching, education, for example. I would do life skills with teens. And every time when I was at an agency, for example, I would always do a survey at the end, like based on how was my teaching. And it was anonymous. Now, you always had that one kid to write their name on it, but most of them, you know, would not. And I would usually get wonderful reviews. It always be that one child like, oh, she was okay. And that's that. But I use the example the last class I would teach, like, you know, it's funny, I would use the example from Recess. And a lot of kids don't know the show Recess.
I love that show.
One Saturday morning, and I would tell them, like, you know, episode with TJ Crosswire. Episode when he was, I'm sure you remember it.
I love that episode. I always use that
and the boy
episode
didn't
as
like
an
him.
example too.
Yeah, he's like, you know, I heard of this crazy rumor, you don't like me? He was like, yeah, I don't. He's like, what do you mean? That's impossible. Like, everybody likes me.
Yes.
He was like, but I don't.
The whole episode.
Trying to prove to him and impress him. And he said, I give up. Why don't you like me? He's like, I just don't.
I just don't. At the end, he's like, I guess you're all right. And then TJ's like, oh, so do you like me now? He's like, no.
Yeah, and that's life. And it's
life.
And it's like, so you can literally have like 100 people, 99 people love you, that one person doesn't, and you focus on that one person that doesn't. But you got 99 to do.
I feel but I also feel like social media, the way that social media is set up is sort of like, it's even like geared towards that. Because it's kind of like, if you post something on Instagram, and you have like all these people that are like, oh my gosh, like it's great, it's amazing, like I love it, it's wonderful. And then you have one person that's like, I don't like that shit, that shit is whack. That's gonna be like the comment most likely that like rises up to the top, or like the comment that most likely is gonna like get a ton of likes, or especially like, because Instagram now, you can like comments and they'll be organized in the order of the most likes. Yeah. So you have people now that are like literally being like
just a troll, like
just haters, just for the sake of it, like just, well, I didn't motherfucking like the shit too. Yeah. And so then it's kind of like you hone in on that person, and it's like I had 500,000 other people saying that shit that I did was hot. Yeah. Why is this one person? It allows you to like focus in on this one person, and I feel like. I always say this about Cardi, and I know you wanted to do some chit chat about Cardi, so we can like get into Cardi, because I feel like that is something that plagues Cardi, and I think that's something that makes her like miserable on a personal level. It's like Cardi has so many people that love her, they love her music, like they support her, they watch her on TV, they watch her on Instagram, like they buy her stuff, they go to her shows, like they love her, like they support her. But you could have one person that be like, well, I don't think Cardi wrote those raps. Yeah. It will be 7 a.m. and she didn't. And she didn't write the raps.
If she said she didn't write them.
It'll be 7 o'clock in the morning. Cardi will still have motherfucking crust in her eyes, and she will be on Instagram screaming about why are people saying I don't write my raps. Yeah. You had 900 million bajillion other people that are literally saying they don't even give a fuck if you write your raps or not.
But the facts are you didn't write them, and then
you didn't write them.
Like I was telling Lamika before she left, shout out to Lamika whose space this is. Woo! Black American business owner.
But there will be links in the description box to the space that we're in Philly, so thank you so much.
But I was saying to her, like, just when it comes down to how people can be and just like can be super sensitive, and how social media has been, like when you've been propelled to a level so fast and all you've heard are these amazing things about you all the time, people do have the right to critique you. Yes. And my thing is that, like I told her, like, you know, like take your L's at home. My thing is like nobody gotta know you going through some stuff. Right. And I think with social media,
I like that. Take your L's at home.
Yeah, like nobody gotta know you're heartbroken. Nobody gotta know you upset. Like cry at home. I don't gotta know until you tell somebody. But then once you tell people, people know, and now people gonna be watching it. People do this. But now with social media, everybody has an eye, everybody has an opinion. So with Cardi, it's like you went out of your way to say you don't write, fuck right, blah, blah, blah. Then when someone says, okay, you don't write, and now you're mad that someone say you don't write, but you told us you don't write. Right. And most of us can tell you don't because the songs sound the same. You know, and it's not you. It is what it is, but you're rich anyway. You're rich anyway. You're famous anyway. What's the problem?
What is the problem?
Like, so it's like, it's not enough that you're famous and you're not talented, but people got to tell you that you are. And it's like when someone comes out that is talented, i.e. Megan Thee Stallion, who doesn't like bother anybody. No. She's just living her life, living in her truth and being amazing. And people see that and it's just like, you're mad. You're mad at because that's not you.
Right.
But she is her authentic self. She's just living her life and is also, of course, a Black American.
Right.
And then it comes to those conversations like,
Houston hottie.
Yeah, like you're trying to like pit women against each other. It's like, first of all, hip hop is about competition, number one.
Thank you.
So we like, there's no such thing as a humble rapper. I mean.
Thank you.
You know, so.
Is this your favorite?
This is my favorite. Yeah. Well, I also had a big issue. I'm looking right at the camera too. I had this post after, what was it, the Grammys when Cardi won for album of the year, right? And I put
best rap album, I think.
Best rap album. I put a
first woman, yes, first woman though to win.
I put a status up, and mind you, I was still choosing my words nicely on my own page, and I just said no. It's a fair criticism that she did not deserve that award, and I don't give a fuck about awards anyway. Very similar to you.
Fuck awards.
It's very subjective anyway.
Oh, your mic fell. It's all right.
I have a big mouth anyway.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, awards are subjective anyway, so who's to say like who's the best or like that? But my issue came when people are really trying to like compare her to Lauryn Hill or something like that. It's like, how?
I haven't seen that. Who did that?
People really that. People really. I mentioned Lauryn Hill. I said she in the love of a Lauryn Hill, someone who actually like wrote, and literally, especially as a Black American, and this is where my passion's coming out because this is mad. When you're a Black American, we have to like literally work twice as hard in our own genre of what we created. If this was back, let's say back in '96 or even prior to that, and someone accused Lauryn Hill, which they did, of not writing, that's a direct insult.
Yeah.
But you can be someone not Black.
That will end your career.
Yeah, that will end your career. Lil' Kim, how many people say Lil' Kim didn't write her rhymes?
Biggie wrote them.
And that was a problem.
Yeah.
But you can be non-Black, come into our genre, brag about not writing, and still be seen on the same level as someone that really have to fight to prove this is my shit.
Yeah.
I don't rock with that.
Yeah.
And then I have people literally jump in my comments on Facebook who know me in real life, tagging Cardi B. I'm like, Cardi's not on Facebook.
They was trying to get on the shade room.
I mean, maybe she was in my, who knows, because Cardi does like to be on people's stuff. But it's just literally
Shade room
like,
now was like the social media internet equivalent of like World Star.
Yes.
They'd be like tagging Shade Room. That's like the World Star.
Yeah, like people got in their feelings. I'm just like, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
How did your life change if I said I don't like? So what? I said what I said, and people like want you to like really trying to go back and forth. Like, oh well, she worked hard. I'm like, how? Okay, yeah, she performed. I said, wasn't Lauryn Hill pregnant when she also did?
That's true.
Her album and did not, obviously did not abort her son. And I was talking about everything she went through, and she was going through all kinds of stuff with Wyclef and everybody else, and still got stuff done. Like, don't compare the two. I don't like people compare Beyonce to Michael Jackson either. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Just, be respectful of the art. Be grateful that you got an award, and that's cute. But literally, like I said, the same night when she won, she was mad at people.
She was mad.
Why are you even on social media?
She's always mad. She's always upset.
Pop some champagne. Like,
log off. Like, seriously, log off.
Give it to your assistant. Like, why are you even on your phone?
Yeah, she's always on her phone.
Go
24/7.
to a beach. I don't get it.
I feel like with Cardi, for example, I feel like people love an underdog. Like, everybody loves an underdog. So it's just kind of like, I feel like people really appreciate just her general, like, her life story of, like, she was poor in the Bronx, like, she was stripping, she was drugging niggas and robbing them, and, like, she was, she was, like, at the bottom. And then she, like, got this following on Instagram, and then she, like, parlayed this following on Instagram into this, like, role on Love and Hip Hop. On Love and Hip Hop, they like made up this storyline of her being a rapper, which she parlayed into like an actual real rap career, where she now has like a Grammy. Like, so I feel like people appreciate that. Like, it's almost like a rags to riches story, and like everybody loves a rags to riches story
until you become rich.
Until you become rich. Until you become rich, and then it's like, oh, I don't know them. Speaking of that, Cardi just tweeted some shit the other day. She was like, bitches be trying to fight me in real life. They be trying to start shit with me because they want me to hit them so they can sue me and get my money. Like, they need to go get in the motherfucking WIC and EBT line. Like, Cardi, that was just you.
Yeah,
that was just you.
It
3 years ago.
It might be her soon if she don't watch it.
Like,
I'm just waiting for her, and this is so petty. I'm just waiting for her to say the wrong thing. about Megan Thee Stallion.
She's gonna say the wrong thing.
I want her to say the wrong thing. She probably won't say it too, because she's not that dumb.
She's already came off as having a little bit of sour grapes.
Yeah.
But I just feel like everybody loves a rags to riches story. And I also kind of feel like we're at this like weird place in terms of like celebrity where it's almost like people like Cardi B because they are not talented. Because it
makes them feel like they could become stars.
Right. It's like, well, so I don't have to write. All I have to do is like get a little following, a little following on internet, get a little following on social media. And I can parlay that into a career too. I can parlay that into fame and being rich too. So I feel like it's weird to say, but I feel like people find her lack of talent relatable. And not just her, because most people aren't talented. And not just her, like us other people too, like not to just be like talk about Cardi, but like other people too. Like when you see people that's like sort of blowing up, people talk a lot about like mumble rappers that like clearly don't have like no niggas, like men that clearly don't have no fucking talent, but they just get like a little viral hit, or they just sort of, get on in a certain type of way. And you have people that I feel like they find the lack of talent to be relatable, because it's like, well, that could be me. I don't have to write. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. All I have to do is be like in the right place at the right time almost.
People don't understand,
and that could be
though,
me.
in the event if you're ready for the right time though, but can you sustain that? You don't have the work ethic. People literally put their work ethic behind trying to be discovered, but there's nothing behind, hey, once I get discovered, what am I going to do?
What am I going to do?
And that's what I think a lot of people fall off from.
Yeah, that's why you have a lot of people that sort of like go up, and then come down. That's kind of also reminds me of like City Girls. People have been talking a lot about City Girls because like it came out also that like Young Miami doesn't write, and that fucking Yachty like that like Yachty wrote her part. He like wrote that song.
Someone called her knocked up.
Cause she is motherfucking knocked up now, which you said you wanted to talk about. So how you feel about that? She's knocked up.
I say Young Miami had one job.
You had one job. You had one job.
You couldn't even do that.
You had one job while JT was in jail.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what to think. I mean, I don't even know when JT's coming out. I will say.
I think she's in jail for 8 more months.
Okay, well, for like credit card fraud, is that what it was?
Yeah, she was scamming. Identity theft, and I think credit card fraud. Scamming niggas. She was scamming.
Oh my gosh. I will say I was listening to some of their music. And at one point I was kind of like hating. I'm like, okay, this is some bullshit. But then when I started listening more, I said, no. I will say some of it actually, I'll be lying if I sound like period. I do like that song a little bit. And JT is a talent.
JT is a talent.
JT can rap. JT clearly loves hip hop, and I respect JT for that. I think Young Miami's cute.
Young Miami was just her homegirl.
Yeah.
I didn't have nothing better to do.
They were real good friends.
Yeah.
And, they knew each other. She even said she wanted to be like an Instagram model, like that's what she wanted to do. But I really don't know. I feel like, a lot of people, I think, want to give. That's what also bothers me too. When it comes to how we are in this culture, I think our attention spans are so short now. So a lot of people look to, Cardi B started a trend of, rappers having their babies and blah, 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 and can do it all. And it's like, okay, so,
does that make you think of Lauryn Hill yet again?
I mean, a little bit.
She had a baby?
I mean, a little bit. It's literally about the erasure of it. Literally, you can have Lauryn Hill that made an album back, what was that, 96, 97, what, was it 98? I want to say when Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came out, I think it was 98. But even then, one album she did that I believe personally could be its own course in college. That album by itself.
People do teach.
Yeah, I mean that album was brilliant. So to have one album and you still being taught about from that one album, but even then it's the erasure of this dark-skinned, phenotypically Black American woman who did that, and it wasn't seen as something to be proud of. She did it regardless for what she wanted to do.
And she made a whole song about it. Everything.
Yeah, and people telling her to abort this child, all kind of stuff. She did what she wanted to do for herself. So as we fast forward to now in a Cardi B situation, and you mentioned in one video about how she's a fucking liar because she's the same one before that said, she faked her own engagement. They were already married, right? She said they were going to break up. They didn't really break up. She lied about being pregnant.
Yeah, she swore she wasn't pregnant.
Yeah,
she's a liar.
She just lies a lie, you know. And it's just this is how a lot of people want to be. And like you said, I think people defend what they identify with.
Yeah.
So if you if you're defending someone who's a known liar, you're probably a liar too.
Probably.
If you're defending somebody who's trifling, you're probably trifling too.
Probably.
So you're not really going to
I feel that way too. Like if you defend somebody that's grimy as fuck,
if you're hanging with somebody who's grimy, you're probably grimy too. So it's like, as it relates to the whole thing back with, JT, with Young Miami, it's like, okay, yeah, she's having this baby, the dude's trash. And once again, it just kind of shows like people.
Don't you already have like 8 baby mamas?
Why was 5 kids? But I don't. But what it is funny. I think the problem that I have, and I was telling to my friend before we came here too, like how people. I feel like, because I'm 28, so when social media came, I feel like the millennials are the last of the Mohicans as far as like life, like normal.
Analog versus digital.
Yeah, like people don't like what's analog. They don't even know or know what collect calls are. Or before there were area codes.
That don't know what analog is, please Google it.
Yeah, and it's literally like, we were able to see like social media come in and we were able to integrate it into our lives.
Right.
The kids now, this is all they know. All they know are followers and filters and blah,
likes.
blah, blah. That's all they know.
Right.
So it's like when you're bringing up something, i.e. like a Lauryn Hill, happy birthday, by the way, to Tupac. Shout out to Gemini's out here. But it's like,
except Trump.
Well, yeah, fuck him.
Because he's a Gemini.
But literally, like talking about people who we knew who really were innovators and things like that, that's old to a lot of the kids now. It's like, man, fuck them. We got Drake. I had some student actually say, when I was at a school teaching, so I was talking to our teacher. She said, yeah, like Outkast, that's my favorite group. So one boy was like, oh, what's his name? I said, it's actually a duo. Like, it's 2. He said, well, they're not better than Drake. We said, shut the fuck up. Like, but it's like literally, it's Drake is the other guy.
Drake also doesn't write.
Cardi that's what they think. It's like, it's about who has hits, who's popular. It's not about who really has substance. What are they really saying? What are they really doing? You're seeing what was the video he did giving out, like his prop money given to all you black people, or whatever that video was.
I know this one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just can't think of the name of it because I don't listen to him.
Yeah, but one video.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, one person did a video on YouTube, like literally, like, black people are not props.
Yeah.
And just like, it's like someone who's really generous isn't gonna record it.
Right.
So it's like stuff like that, like how a lot of kids now see things like, oh, well, I'm just gonna be flashy and look what I'm doing, but there's no value to it. What are you really doing for the culture?
Right. I feel like Drake, number one, is like one of the main ones that like opened up this door for like
the frauds.
The frauds. He's like the king of the motherfucking frauds. Yes. Of just like, well, I don't write. Who gives a fuck? Like the whole Meek Mill and like we're here in Philly right now, like the whole Drake and fucking Meek Mill situation, when like Drake had fucking 2-3 tracks recorded, mixed, mastered, ready to go, dropped on iTunes. I was like, he didn't write. Like, y'all cannot believe. Like, there's clearly a whole team of like people that are behind this, and it's just like whatever. Like, if that's what it is, like that's what it is. But and Drake is another one that it clearly gets under his skin that like people refuse to put him in like the GOAT category because he wants to like be seen as like a GOAT.
But
like,
you're not.
But you're not. You don't write. Like, you are a rapper that doesn't write. You will never be seen as a GOAT by the fans.
I remember where I was when Drake came out. I know him as Aubrey Graham from Degrassi. I used to watch him on my Saturday mornings in the kitchen.
Jimmy.
Yeah, that's why I knew him as. So when I remember hearing Best I Ever Had, I'm like, oh, this is some rapper named Drake. So I was in like my senior year in high school. I would hear the song and I looked it up. I said, wait, Aubrey Graham? Like, this is who is this? And I didn't think he's really going to be what he became now.
He's an actor.
But he is. He's an actor. And I brought up earlier too with Bruno Mars. Ironically, I said I find it ironic that he got his start as a child impersonating Elvis. Of all people to impersonate, you're impersonating Elvis.
I think he did some Michael Jackson impersonations too. And he's still a professional impersonator.
But he is.
As an adult.
And it's like when you just look at culture, like I was telling my friend earlier, I was like, you know what? It's going to be to a point. Someone put this post I saw on Instagram. And they were joking, but every joke has facts too. We know how humor is.
Right.
They were like, it's going to be a point, like probably like 20 years from now when people are going to be like, wait, black people used to rap?
Yeah.
It's going to get to a point, just like in this world country and this world rock. Like people,
jazz.
Black people used to do rock and roll. Like people don't even know that rap is an acronym for rhythm and poetry.
Yeah.
They don't know that. They don't know, like, if we're talking about the blues, I'm like, well, who else would be singing the blues? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would it be some Blue-Eyed Soul? Who else would be talking about that?
It's called Blue-Eyed Soul because it was like historically not done by white people, right? I feel like there's like a nuance, and a lot of the nuance is just like being lost overall in all aspects of culture, because like obviously there's a time and a place for like act up and period and stuff like that, and there's also a time and a place for like Lauryn Hill and Outkast, and because I can understand like people that say like, well, when I'm out partying or I'm in a club, this and that third, like I don't necessarily right, like I don't necessarily want to hear Lauryn Hill like lecturing me, you know? Okay, like, and I can totally get behind that. I can understand that, but I definitely think that where the line is of the nuance of like, again, you have people that, you know, they don't write, they don't do anything. They just show up basically, and yet they want to be perceived as
like a star.
Goats. Yeah, they want to be perceived as legends. Like, no, if you gotta stay in your lane. If you're gonna like proudly say, I don't rap, like Young Miami put on fucking Instagram, like, yeah, I ain't write that shit. Some of y'all hoes need ghostwriters because you need hits. So it's like, well, if that's going to be your lane, again, like, you can't turn around and be mad at Megan Thee Stallion, who writes, because she's in the lane of a writer. You have chosen to not be in the lane of a writer. You're just in the lane of somebody that makes, like, you know, party club hits. Great, wonderful, whatever, fine. But then again, you can't turn around and be like, well, I want to be seen, I want to be taken seriously, and I want to be perceived a certain type of way.
No.
I feel like, yeah, that's just the nuance of culture and of certain types of conversations around culture, that everything's just being, like, sort of thrown in a pot of just like charts and hits and numbers and bangers and like who got the number one, who doesn't matter how they got it.
Speaking of
but
that,
who got it?
You heard about DJ Khaled and his.
Oh yeah. Oh, I heard about it. I have a lot of feelings. Okay, let me get ready. First of all, he sued Billboard.
I heard he did.
He sued Billboard. Actually, first of all, Billboard is shit. Like, fuck Billboard. Billboard charts they're worthless, I feel like. Billboard charts essentially can be just like bought and sold, and you're just at the mercy of like whatever the people running Billboard think. Just like how they fucking took the chart, the #1 country away from like Lil Nas X because, oh, it's not country, aka you're black, we don't want you on our country charts.
Even though that's a genre is what we created.
Exactly.
And your daughter sat there cultural appropriated our music.
Exactly.
But fuck you.
And then, right, Billy Ray Cyrus got on the song, and like now all of a sudden the song is allowed on the country charts. It's the exact same song. It's literally the exact same song.
Yeah.
Nothing on the song changed. No elements of the song changed. But now all of a sudden, since this white man is on it, it can be on the country chart. So like #1, fuck Billboard for that, like off jump. Like the charts are racist, the awards are racist, like everything is like built a certain types of way against black artists and black American artists in particular. And now it's basically like we're low-key seeing the same thing play out with this like Tyler the Creator versus DJ Khaled situation. You have like a black American artist that got a #1, and then you have this like non-black artist that motherfucking is all up in our music and in our genre that doesn't even rap. Like, what does DJ Khaled even do?
I still don't know what he does.
What does he do?
I don't know what he does.
He gets on the track and screams, "We the best."
Yeah, but who's we?
I don't know. He makes these compilation CDs.
I don't know what he does.
I don't know. And then it's like people wasn't feeling your CD. They didn't buy it. They didn't give a fuck. You still had decent numbers because you were #2, but you like threw a hissy fit and you literally threatened to sue Billboard to file a lawsuit. Now the reason behind him saying he wanted to sue Billboard was because it was over this concept of bundling, which we could talk about bundling as well. This like where you bundle your albums with merch and things of that nature. So it was sort of like, he was like, well, Tyler bundled with merch and I bundled with merch, so why did my bundles get disqualified? Like 100,000 of the sales got disqualified. And originally Billboard was like, well, because DJ Khaled, you like bundled your merch with like some random ass energy drink company that like nobody ever even heard of.
That is clearly not drinking.
Right. Like,
I mean, if we're being honest here.
You were essentially just giving the album away, and apparently the company was involved in like some Ponzi pyramid schemes and like scamming people and this, that, and the third. They were like, at least Tyler's bundles was with merch, like shirts and hoodies and things of that nature that was related to the album. But like Khaled threw this hissy fit and he essentially tried to like rob this #1 from this black American artist that actually did put his time and his effort into me. Because you can feel how you want about Tyler's like music, but he is an artist that did create a body of work. He did bundle it with merch that was related to the work, and he got his #1. How you just be like, well, I'm mad that he got that #1. So
yeah, but no one fucking cares.
Like,
and that's the thing I don't get. It's like, who fucking? First of all, be grateful you have a career for having once again no talent. Where do people with no talent get off having attitudes?
Entitled.
You shout over people's records and you sit there and remake classics from other black people. Yeah. People only rock with, what's the song with Rihanna and Bryson Tiller, the Marie Maria sample?
Oh yeah, Wild Thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we like that because Rihanna was on it. I liked it because it was. I hated it because it was a sample, but that's one of my favorite songs. But it's like people rock with that for them. They ain't going. I have not seen someone flock to see DJ Khaled. I haven't personally. Maybe there's somebody that does that.
He's just like a producer, DJ.
Yeah, but anybody can do that. Anybody can do what he does.
I mean, I feel like you do need talent to be like a good producer and a good DJ, but why are you trying to take something away from an artist?
And then to disrespect Tyler, the Creator, like that. Like, oh, well, I don't make music, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why even say that?
That he called his music weird or something like that. He said it was like a weird...
You don't need pussy, you're weird. Like, I just don't like that.
Yeah, he said
like, who are you talking to?
He said something like, it's weird music that nobody listens to. It's
well,
like,
somebody does.
Somebody would.
Because the fuck are you talking? It's just like you a hater. It's like
you're a hater.
The haters ball.
It is the motherfucking player haters ball. It's the player haters ball every day of the week.
The haters ball.
And it's just like, and this is even how I feel about bundling. I don't really like bundling. The reason why I don't really like bundling of any artist is because I feel like bundling is also going to get to the point where you have people just bundling shit with like, oh, I'm selling lollipops, like I'm selling packs of gum, like I'm selling Girl Scout cookies, and when you buy it, you get a link to my album. It's like everybody buys Girl Scout cookies. You're gonna have like an automatic #1. You're gonna just like, I feel like with bundling, you're gonna end up having people that are in situations of they're just bundling their music to anything and then saying, I sold an album, I have a #1. I was reading a music forum and somebody said that, well, what's gonna stop Drake, for example, from eventually like bundling albums with like basketball tickets? Because like technically, like he is in a professional relationship with the NBA.
Or Degrassi DVDs.
Or whatever, whatever. Degrassi DVDs. Seriously though, whatever he wants to bundle in his shit with, like motherfucking trips to Toronto, like whatever, like. Because then it's just like, at that point, it won't even matter about like the music at all. You could be like, oh yeah, I'm a musician, because like DJ Khaled's not a musician.
At all.
So you can be like, oh yeah, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I sold it with motherfucking trips to go see Niagara Falls, and I got my #1.
I don't get it.
And it's just like, I do think in that regard of the bundling and like the no talent and stuff, I think it's also a slippery slope, because you also have people that's just like, well, they got the #1, so who cares? Mm-hmm. It's like, but the #1s are fake. Mm-hmm. They don't matter. They're completely arbitrary. And especially when we're talking about Billboard, at any moment Billboard can change their minds, because like Billboard, after Khaled threatened to sue, they like reversed their decision and they let him have the 100,000 like sales back.
So did he win?
And he got a #1.
Okay, but so what?
He like got it. Now Tyler still had his #1. I think it was like the following week, and it might have been on another chart. But like they changed their minds. They reversed it. So it's just like, this is all fake.
But just to get your #1, like what?
I mean, and well, I'm sure that like getting #1s is like related to probably like future deals and endorsement deals and things of that nature. But it is a little bit like, it's a little petty. And it's funny too. What's funny to me too is that people like also lost their shit over like Nicki Minaj talking about bundling
with
and
Travis Scott,
because she was like, and people take everything Nicki Minaj says like up the ass for some reason. It's like very weird to me. Like Nicki said, well, they were bundling merch that had nothing to do with the album. Like Kylie was selling makeup kits with the album attached, and they were like bundling Stormy type of merchandise, and they were everywhere, all over the news, because like the baby had just been born, and they like parlayed all that attention into selling the record, which they did do. And she also was just speaking about like bundles in general, how like people are bundling things to like sell records. And everybody was like, she's blaming a baby and she's doing this and she's doing that. And I was like, that's not what she said. And now here we are, however many months, 6 months later, and we're having the exact same conversation about bundles in terms of DJ Khaled and Tyler.
About so it's just non-black man. And it's funny you bring up Kylie though. I think it's interesting because that whole thing too, just the Kardashians themselves, the Kardashian Jenners, of how they've been able to like take over and sustain this reign. Once again, no talent. People with no talent who are wealthy and who have influence, and people that kiss their asses that aren't even theirs to be at the top, that they're able to, really, really like scare people to do what they want to do. And it's like, it's irritating.
And I think that's the same thing. I just seen a post on Instagram the other day that was like, all the Kardashians, and the caption was like, this gonna be, and it had like all their net worth, their individual net worth, and it was like, oh, this gonna be me and my family. So I think it's just people that associate like, well, they don't even necessarily have talent, they're just a family, they stick together. That could be me and my family one day. I would be wanting to be like, no, it couldn't, because you're black,
people don't
and they're whites. Like,
Well, you would say like the dark white, the spicy white, because
They're
that's
white.
been that whole conversation. Like, oh, well, they're black. Are they? Like,
Okay, number one.
Can we please break it down?
Number one. Fucking Kylie and fucking Kendall are the children of Caitlyn Jenner. They are not even the children of Rob Kardashian Sr., who was Armenian.
And people don't know that Kris is white.
And Kris is white. She's fucking
Scottish
Dutch.
or
She's
something.
Dutch.
Like,
she's Dutch.
She's not Armenian at all.
Kris Jenner is Dutch and Caitlyn Jenner is white as fuck. So Kendall and Kylie are white, period. Them older three, well, four, I guess, because we have to include Rob Jr. Them older four, even like Rob Sr., who is Armenian, like they're European.
And Chloe, I'm not sure about.
Well, as far as we know,
but
there are rumors.
Allegedly,
there are rumors.
The four.
But as far as we know, they're half Armenian and half Dutch, which is just like white and white.
White and whiter.
White and whiter. I don't understand, and I don't understand why people want them to be something other than white as well. I also find that to be.
I don't get it.
See, I think it's like people want, and I kind of feel like this also happens with Cardi. I feel like it's because people want to like feel okay about liking them, so they try to like put this ethnic minority status on them. Like how people go out of their way to be like, Cardi's black. Cardi herself was like, I'm in an interracial relationship.
And that's what I want to say too about that, because
like,
as black people, like everybody wants to like grandfather clause their way into the black community. Like, okay, I got one black ancestor, so like, no, it's not. And like I said, we really gotta drop the whole one drop rule thing, because I feel people will debate that like someone who's biracial to me, you're biracial, you're not black. Now, if you are, J. Cole for example, biracial, phenotypically to me black. I didn't know his mother was white until I looked it up. I said, okay.
Yeah.
Now, he identifies as black that I know of, and he probably should based on the way he looks. But at the end of the day, it's like you still are biracial. I don't think it's for us to tell somebody, oh, well, you're black, like Halle Berry, you're black, T and Tamara, you're black, and they're not DSCS because their mother's Bahamian. But it's like the whole idea that we tend to do that, we will, like Meghan Markle, for example. People were literally, oh, the first black princess. It's like,
that was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And
I like Meghan Markle, but I was like,
really wanna. She clearly
I was
said,
like, Meghan Markle can just be like a nice girl. She doesn't like have to be ethnic.
Like I feel like people, to me, only biracial people can identify like how
who they are.
Yeah. And for me, like my father's biracial, for example. I don't say he's black. You got a white mom, you're not black. That's me. That may be mean, but I'm like, look, we're a little different. So it's like, I feel like to call somebody, now people who are biracial, like they can't say that they're white because the way this country's set up, it's like, oh, you can't go around and say you're white.
I feel like it depends. White. For me, I feel like I go off phenotype, not genotype. That's just like me personally. So I feel like if you phenotypically are black, if you're visibly black, which would be like Yara Shahidi, she's biracial, but she's phenotypically black.
What about Logic?
No, he looks white. He looks white.
You don't like
He looks white. That's what I'm saying. Like it's phenotype. Like it's phenotype. I mean, and like Logic versus J. Cole is like a perfect example, because I will never forget. I feel like I talk about this all the time. I'll never forget seeing an interview where Logic was like, I don't understand why J. Cole is so angry with white people. I feel like you can look it up. He was like, I feel like we're the same. You know, like I have a black dad and a white mom. Like he has a black dad and a white mom. Like I don't have all this animosity towards white people. Like I listened to Forest Hills Drive and I was like shocked. I didn't understand. It's like because you're phenotypically white, you have the appearance of a white man, and so you are treated by society as a white man with all that white male privilege. So of course you're not gonna understand why J. Cole, black ass nigga with nappy, black ass nigga with nappy hair, growing up in a motherfucking trailer park in North Carolina, where I'm sure he's been called his motherfucking fair share of nigger with the hard ER at the end. Of course you're not going to understand why he has an issue with white people, because like you're having a different experience, and that's based off of phenotype. That's based off of visible blackness. I'm not going to get into these quibbles and these qualms over genotype, because like for me personally, I feel like ultimately the end goal of those conversations is to say that black Americans are not black. Personally, I feel like the end goal of all those conversations is to say that descendants of American chattel slavery are mixed and not black. So I personally refuse to like participate in like all of this. Well, they're mixed, they're biracial, so they're not black, because we have a lot of white in our bloodlines because of slavery. So I think that like ultimately that is the end goal, especially with like all these like immigrants and stuff, these like black immigrants that are like coming to the United States that are like, well, we are black, we have fully black bloodlines, we are pure black, we are not mixed, we are not slave babies, we're not mutts, we're not rape babies, all these things that they say about us as descendants of American chattel slavery. I feel like that's the end goal of that. So I refuse to participate in that because I'm not going to participate in my own erasure as a Black American, as a descendant of American chattel slavery. You're not going to say that somebody that is visibly Black, like J. Cole, is not Black. I can't get behind that.
So we got to segue into that conversation then about DACS versus continental Africans and what you've heard.
It's not just them.
No, but
it's like
Caribbean.
It's like Black immigrants in general.
Has ever been directly said to you from someone who's not DACS, like,
what?
oh, you're a slave baby or blah, 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 blah?
Yes.
Okay, so what was that conversation like? Just like having a conversation, or someone just came up to you and said, you Okada. Like, what?
They said...
happened?
It was a part of a larger conversation, and they said that I wasn't Black, that Black Americans are not Black, that we are mixed, that, what else was it? It was like all Black Americans are mixed, that we have like white blood in us, and that we are rape babies. And I was like, excuse me? And they were like, y'all don't have like a pure bloodline. It was like very like eugenics.
Gotcha.
Like, they were like, you don't have a pure bloodline. There have been some people on YouTube that have said to me that I cannot make videos talking about Black issues because I'm not really Black, because I'm a Black American.
And you know what's funny about that? Because people who I know personally, who, for example, I was on a cruise, I went to Cuba, and I met these people who were there. They were Haitian, and they were like, oh, I'm not Black, I'm Haitian. Right? And I hear a lot from Caribbeans too. It's like literally almost like the opposite of what you just said. Like, they'll say we are Black, but being Black is separate from what they are. Like, they may say I'm African, but I'm not Black, you are.
I think that's because people have an association of the word Black with Black American. And so when they say that, they're saying that they're not Black Americans. But when we say they're not Black Americans, it's a problem, it's an issue.
Which I don't understand.
But they can say that they're not Black, they're this. So I just think that that's like about identity and how you identify the word Black. Because just people feel like Black as a terminology, like in terms of like the context of like the word, what's the etymology of the word, it tends to mean quote unquote African American or Black American. You kind of had you had all these other words. You had like nigger, you had like darky, you had like coon, you had colored, you had Negro, you had
so many.
But these are words that have like existed within sort of like the American context and like the American lexicon. And then since America is this global superpower kind of like spread out, in other parts of the world you have other terminology. And so until we sort of landed in our history here in America, until we sort of landed on Black or Black American or African American, things of that nature. So I feel like from a global context, when people are saying, no, I'm not Black, I'm this, or I'm Haitian, they're talking about how Black American or African American, because those are terms that came from here and then sort of like spread out. Like in South Africa, they say the slur word would be like kafir, stuff like that. So it's different words in different parts of the world. So that's what I think people mean when they say that. Now, but when we are talking about racially, obviously, they're Black, we're Black, like we're all Black. But I have an old video called like race, nationality, and ethnicity are not the same, because people get this confused all the time. It's like your race can be Black, your nationality can be Haitian, your ethnicity can be Creole. Your race can be Black, your nationality can be American, your ethnicity can be descendant of American chattel slavery. Like all those things are not interchangeable. And so it's like people get them confused, and then I feel like that's where a lot of the issues and the problems and the confusion comes in, because when I say to somebody, well, you're not a descendant of American chattel slavery, you're not a Black American, they'll be like, oh, so you're saying I'm not Black?
Yeah, it's not what you said.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And it goes back, and the thing is that you were clear. Like, that's a very clear thing you said.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you, like, it's, to me, and I was saying to, like, really all week, I mean, just, I was so excited about this conversation because, like, I'm thankful for this platform, because I know a lot, especially growing up, like, being a Black American, I know when I was growing up, for example, like, it just, like, who I see is Black, I'm just like, okay, we're all Black. Once I got older to know, okay, there's like, you can be Cape Verdean, you're Haitian, you're Jamaican, you're
and there's people that will say that you're not Black because your father's biracial.
Oh yeah, people have. They're like, oh, you're mixed. I'm like, I don't. Now, I think I'm phenotypically black.
You
I got
are.
nappy ass hair.
Yeah, you're phenotypically black.
I'm a big ass lips. I'm a black woman.
Yeah.
But it's like I had people, for example, and I think one time you did a video, you were talking about that with one other episode. Like, for example, looking the exact same way I look. Let's say, for example, I were Dominican, right? Looking the exact same way, I will be perceived differently because I'm not black American.
Yes, you
looking,
would be.
having the same nappy
You would
hair,
be.
the same complexion,
You
because
would
you
be.
think black Americans are beneath you, despite how I look.
Yeah.
Because no one really, it's not about how we look, it's not being called what we are. Like, there's something, there should be some shame behind that.
Yeah.
And to me, I look at it almost like it's like this really sick, narcissistic, like, and I don't, not imaginary family, but literally, like, I use the example of, like, we know about, like, personality disorders and narcissism, things like that, and have, like, the scapegoat. As black Americans, we are the scapegoated child. We're, like, the firstborn child that our parents fucking hate, but we are needed for everything. Like, we're your supply.
The redheaded stepchild. I always think of it as, like, we're the redheaded stepchild, and we the big brother at the same time.
Yeah, we got to hold everybody together, but expect to be mistreated. But if we go away, everything falls apart. Like, we've always, we hold all y'all up. It weren't for us, or y'all so angry, but if it wasn't for someone who was angry, who was black American, y'all wouldn't even be over here. That's how y'all got here. Be respectful. But it's that those conversations people don't want to really hear. And the idea is like, oh, well, you really want to try to shame a black American, like, oh, well, y'all were slaves. Not that we were enslaved, we were slaves. No one looks at the person who did the mistreatment. You look at the person who's been oppressed. And that's what I got a problem with. Because I've never had somebody come to my face and be like, oh, well, because I'm from Trinidad, I'm better than you. I'm sure it had obviously in conversations, but for someone to actually walk up to my face, it will be a conversation. Like, who the fuck you think you're talking to? Because first of all, if you didn't even tell me you were from there, I wouldn't even know. Like, some people I really can't even tell. People thought I was Trinidadian. I'm like, no, I'm black American. And even when I thought, like, the whole conversation with Raven Simone years ago, right? Which, I mean, I did roast her a little bit, but I will say, what she said, and I still feel it was a way for her also to, like, not answer Oprah's question, when she said about being an American, I mean, that is true.
Right.
Because I know for me personally, I can trace back to what my great-great-grandfather. So I guess that would be like a fourth or fifth generation
from
American.
all the continents in Africa.
Yeah. Well, fuck that part. But it's like me personally, all I know is America. Like my grandfather, his father, his father's father. That's what we know.
With Raven Simone, what I didn't like was that she said she didn't like labels. Now I feel like I kind of feel like this is like a thing in the West, this like Western thing of like, I'm an individual and like labels don't matter and like I don't have to be labeled like any one thing. And even in the video that I did on that situation, I was like, labels do matter. Like you can put, now obviously like you can like put labels on yourself, you can like adopt your identity, like this, that, and a third, but it's like a label does matter. And I find like in these conversations that we have about like race and nationality and ethnicity, I find that like labels are important because like we've been talking a lot, for example, about like reparations, right? Reparations are becoming this like big thing in terms of like this upcoming 2020 election. So it's just that, well, we're here in the United States. So if we're trying to get reparations for American chattel slavery, there's going to be some type of label that becomes a label for us to say like, well, we are, yes, like we're the descendants of American chattel slavery. We didn't come here after the fact. We can trace our roots back this far. I don't know, like let's just say like for reparations, it has to be like, well, you have to be somebody that can like trace your roots back, 500 years or more in this country. You can't have any type of, recent immigration in your, something like that. But these are labels.
Recent immigration.
Like these are labels. But I'm just saying, like, 'cause these are labels. It's more than just like, well, we're black. We're all black.
But what's going to be scary though? But think about it. You got people, and I'm not even lying. There are people who literally are saying that. What's her name? The UFC fighter, Ronda Rousey. They're saying that she's black because of her grandfather who was white passing. So you're going to have a lot of white people who have been white passing who are like, oh, I'm a descendant of American child slavery.
And again, that's where you're going to need a label. Like, well, you have to be a black American descendant of American chattel slavery. You have to have at least 75% black phenotype, but these are labels. These are labels. These are identifiers, and they are important, especially if, again, like we're going to start talking about census and demographics and government data and reparations and like all these different types of things. We're going to need these type of labels, and like that's what we use in the United States. So they do the census every 10 years, and they label people, right? How many people live in this house? What race are they? What ethnicity are they? What nationality are they? How long have they been? And that's why when you fucking go look on Wikipedia, you look up any city in the United States, you can see a demographic breakdown And it's labeled. It's by identity.
And some people sit there and lie. Because I knew someone in
people
particular who was Puerto Rican and visibly, I would say, like black, like a clear Afro-Latina, but say she was white. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people do that.
A lot of Latinx people do that.
Yeah, you know, pick and choose when they're going to, like, straddle the fence.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Walk in.
They straddle the fence for perks. Like, people straddle the fence for perks. I could be this today, I could be this tomorrow. And this is why I say, like, me personally, again, like, I'm a black American, I'm a descendant of American chattel slavery. That's the terminology that I like to use, like B-A-D-A-C-S, because it's quick, it's to the point, it's exact. My race is in it, black, my nationality is in it, American, and my ethnicity is in it. Descendant of American chattel slavery. It's no confusion, it's no nothing, right? That's what I need to use for myself. I know people find that to be like, well, exclusionary, you're excluding me, and this, that, and the third. It's like, but like,
we were enslaved. That's the thing.
My family on both sides, I can trace back 400 years in this country. That's just me.
And that's so irritating. It's like, we can't even be oppressed by ourselves. How dare you? I mean, it's like,
we can't even be oppressed by ourselves.
It's like, you're excluding me. I want to be enslaved.
You're excluding me from your oppression.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Let me in.
Like, that's what I'm saying. The whole narcissist thing is like, how can you sit here and shame me for being, this slave baby, this rape baby? Oh, but now I'm excluding you from the facts. You just called me a slave baby. I'm letting you know I'm a descendant of, American child slavery, and now I'm excluding you from that. So now you want to be enslaved too? Like, I don't get it.
People are going to have to decide what is important to them. What is important to them? What label, what identity, like, pick a side and stick there. I also think that people have become really, like, abusive with the word intersectionality, which was created by Kimberly Crenshaw, a black American woman from motherfucking Compton. People have gotten really, like, just abusive with the word intersect. Well, I'm this and I'm this and I'm this and I'm that, so I can be all these things. The point of intersectionality is that you can identify the different parts of yourself more so, I would say, on like a sliding scale of identity. Not necessarily that you can just have everything, and that you can also fight other people to like be let into like their oppression or whatever.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like when I have my own feelings about feminism, and I saw a video you did
about.
Not a feminist. Yeah. Oh, I definitely identify as anti-feminist, and people are like, wait, what do you mean? Exactly. People don't understand that difference. I'm like, as a descendant of American chattel slavery, I said you can't argue. I don't have the privilege to focus solely on my gender because I'm black.
Right.
So people like forget that part.
Right.
So I've had conversations with people, for example, it's like talking about race, and people, why you make it about race? Okay, well, white people did that. White people made it about race. Like, what are you talking about? This is why we're here.
They did make it about race.
That's where this came from. But with that being said, it's like, we're literally dealing the hand we've been dealt. I have to play that hand. It's okay. This is what I'm dealing with. I'm going to express myself.
Right.
Then when I'm expressing myself, I still got to make you feel comfortable as I express myself.
No, don't do it.
I don't have to do that.
Nope.
And that goes back to narcissism. It's like, I can't even say how I feel. I got to think about how you're going to take it. Fuck you. You don't matter. It's how I feel. And if you don't like it, don't listen. That's it. It's that simple.
It is.
And people just can't do that. So I'm just like, when people like have like these attitudes, or I haven't had conversations with people who know my age or younger, even older, trying to say to them, okay, why black people can't be racist, right? And that's the whole other conversation, black Americans specifically. I'm like, because we don't have any power. And people will debate that. I'm like, you cannot be equally oppressed in a system that you control.
That's true.
So me not liking you because you're white, how did your life change because I don't like you? But how can you affect my life?
Dr. Joy DeGruy has a whole motherfucking amazing speech on this that everyone should go watch. Post-traumatic sleep syndrome, go watch.
And it's like, PTSS, and it's like, what, like, it's like you want to benefit off of what you didn't even work for, and then the person who is being oppressed still, people argue, well, I wasn't a slave master, but you benefit from those who were. You're not trying to get the money back. I mean, you want to re-exchange, like, give the wealth and spread it around. We can start from scratch. But it's like, most of these inventions were from our people that we were not able to patent. They were stolen from us. We had our own town. Shit was burned down. There's never been the reparations, which means to repair. There has never been. Other communities get their reparations in many different ways. Can come over now and still get stuff that black Americans still don't have access to. And you want to tell, okay, pull yourself for your bootstraps. And you're just lazy, and this is why your life is the way it is. Meanwhile, you're inheriting money that nobody worked for.
I kind of feel like immigrants at this point are almost their own ethnicity. Like, immigrants are like almost their own group, because it's kind of like, which I've said before, like Black Americans are in this like really unique position where people hate us because we're Black.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that's not Black hates us because we're Black. So that's white people and also non-Black persons of color. Anyone non-Black hates us because we're Black. But we're also American, which means that anyone that is not American will also hate us because we're American. Mm-hmm. It's like if you come to this country as an immigrant, like there are programs in place, like there is like now of course like Trump is trying to like dismantle a lot of this shit right now. But there is like, especially under DACA and like the Dreamer stuff, which makes sense because like Obama's father was a Kenyan immigrant, mm-hmm. right? And his mom was a white hoe from Kansas, which I always say he's not DACS. So he set up a lot of policies while he was in office that were for immigrants and immigrants of all races, which is why I'm saying like immigrants are like almost their own group in this country, because it's like you can come to this country as an immigrant and take advantage of a lot of institutionalized programs and benefits that are set up to help immigrants get ahead mm-hmm. in this country. People get offended when you say that. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. That's the truth of the matter. Well, I do know why. True. I do know why, because nobody likes hearing that they have any type of privilege. That shit gets under motherfuckers' skin.
But people don't mind benefiting from the privilege.
But people don't mind benefiting from the privilege, right? It's like you do have institutionalized programs, and there are some opportunities for you as an immigrant because Obama put a lot of things in place under DACA for immigrants. There is nothing like that for Black Americans. Nope. There has never been anything like that for Black Americans. But and this is where we start getting into the ethnicity and the racial aspects of it a little bit more, because it's like if you are a Black immigrant, you can take advantage of the opportunities as an immigrant, but then you can also turn around a lot of them and be like, well, I should also be considered a Black American. Mm-hmm. So if they give out reparations, I should get that too. Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Stop this, no. Yeah. Because we don't get to take advantage of anything.
And those who are not DACS who get scholarships to go to HBCUs.
Yeah, and they apply as African Americans.
Yeah, and you're not.
But then you can also turn around and be like, well, I'm going to apply for this other program that's specifically for immigrants. And I can show proof that my parents or my grandparents or my great-grandparents, whoever like came, and so I can take advantage of that too. Mm-hmm. And then when you say, well, like, that's not really fair, they'd be like, well, intersectionality. No, that's not how intersectionality works. That's not how intersectionality works. Intersectionality doesn't mean switch identities whenever you want to take advantage of everything.
Yeah.
That's that white people shit.
But that also goes back just to people not understanding words. Like, I think that's like, I mean, just the idea of
which is also
language.
White people shit.
Or we're going to redefine
words.
Like, let's redefine words. Like, even if, for example, like now we have everything with phobia at the end. Now, I know phobia to mean fear. Mm-hmm. Now, phobia is translated to fear and hatred. Well, that's not what phobia is. Yeah, like me fearing you doesn't mean I hate you. Like, they're two different things, but now we use it now. People will change how words mean, and then blah, 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 blah. And, I just think that, like, people really got to pay attention. Yeah. Because people think, okay, now this is the new hot thing now, so this is what it is. Like, not because you say that doesn't mean it's true. People just say it. You say it enough times, it's just still a lie. You just said a lie. And it's so many things. I remember when I was teaching my ELL students years ago, and I was looking, I was teaching, ironically, an African American history class for my Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Venezuelan students, right? Y'all gonna learn about Black Americans today. Uh-huh. So I'm looking through the book, and one of the things that said it, and I thought about, it took me back to now how, like, white supremacy is crafty, right? It's crafty. But it's the same formula. Like, nothing changes. It's how you present it. So it's like, it's all about language. So I'm thinking like Trump and friends, alternative facts, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
we're really living in the era of
alternative facts. And I looked at what it said in the book. It was like, I think it was prior to like Plessy versus Ferguson, but it was saying like, separate but equal was lawful. Uh-huh. I said, what's lawful? But it doesn't say constitutional, because it's not. So it's all about how you use your language. And this was lawful. I mean, but what
this is like mean? Even what I was saying earlier about getting banned on Twitter. People know the right words to use. People know the right things to say to get around rules, get around restrictions. And then you have people that can't do that, or don't do that, or won't do that, or refuse to do that, and then we get banned.
And it's ironic that it's a Black American, talk about another Black American, and you're banned for hate speech.
Because they were just like, coon, it's a bad word, banned, can't use that. Context? But context is also a part of what, again, we were talking about earlier in terms of like nuance. What is the nuance of the situation? What is the context of the situation? A lot of that stuff is not addressed. I mean, and I feel like this happens with a lot of what we're ended up talking about. Right now we're talking about government institutions, and we're talking about programs, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about things that have literally, historically, systemically, specifically kept Black Americans out with really specific types of language, really specific types of words. And then you have people that, you know, they don't want to understand the context of that. They don't want to discuss the nuances of that. And they just want to sort of paint everything with this broad brush. Again, with the, well, we're all this, we're all that, we're all the same, we're all oppressed, we're all, and that's like, we're all minorities. We're all minorities, so like black people need to stop complaining because we're all minorities and we've all been oppressed by white people. No, that's,
Thank you for saying that. This is the one point to bring up. So I hate Harry Belafonte deep in my spirit.
Okay.
So, I'm a big
He said some horrible things to Eartha Kitt.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge Eartha Kitt fan. I love Eartha Kitt. Shout out Eartha Kitt. But with Eartha, it's like you have Harry Belafonte, who's a Jamaican who came here, and people are like, how can you hate Harry Belafonte? Like we're fed this narrative, okay? People always say Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott, Harry Belafonte, blah, 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 James Baldwin. People say these people who have been prevalent in our community, but it's like, people feel like because you're prevalent in our community, you're free from criticism. Who are you really as a person, right? Because you still are feeding a narrative. We're not gonna act like Rosa Parks was the first person that didn't give up her seat, because there was somebody before that and they didn't like her image and how she looked and her age. So y'all just said, fuck that bitch, and then we're gonna do it with her.
17-year-old, dark-skinned, unwed mother.
Exactly.
Teenage mother.
Yeah, but then you put a light-skinned Rosa Parks who's more upstanding. So it's like, y'all really still ain't shit, but thank you, I guess, in the long run.
Respectability
Yeah,
politics.
it's always been there. So with Harry, it's like you're literally coming here on the wave of let me help my people get the freedom. And yeah, to white folks, you're just a nigger, you're a light-skinned nigger, but you're Jamaican in your mind, you're an immigrant coming over here due to what black Americans are doing for you to even get your ass over here. And then you're dealing with black American women and going to tell them to their face, yeah, a black woman can't do nothing for me. How are you going to sit here and be in the civil rights era?
And you know, Eartha Kitt's biracial.
Yes.
She's a product of rape.
Oh, absolutely. So with her.
But this is what I'm saying when I say like labels and things of that nature needs to be discussed with a little bit more context and a little bit more nuance. Because you will also have people that will say, well, Harry Belafonte is Jamaican. He's a real black person. He's like a pure black person. Eartha Kitt is biracial. She's not even black.
Yeah.
She's a product. She's a rape baby. And she's literally a product of rape. She's not even black. She's biracial. She's mixed. She's this, that, and the third. So Harry Belafonte had every right to say whatever he wanted to her, despite the fact that she is a descendant of American chattel slavery. She's a black American. He's not. That's what I'm saying when I say like people really need to start thinking more deeply about some of these terms that we use and some of the ways that we view ourselves in terms of our identity, because all of these interactions that we have within the diaspora, as well as like in our world, in our communities, with white people, with like non-black persons of color, all these different types of things play out in these really various nuanced ways. And I feel like a lot of the ways that we've been talking about some of this stuff up to now, in terms of our contemporary discussions about civil rights era and race and ethnicity and nationality, have just not been nuanced enough, because we all just kind of felt like, well, we have this common enemy of like the system of racism, white supremacy, which we absolutely do. But that doesn't negate the fact that also within the diaspora, we're still dealing with racism, white supremacy in the form of colonized minds. Because like Harry Belafonte, to say to Eartha Kitt, a black woman can't do anything for me, that's a colonized mind.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a colonized
And some
mind.
people even debate it, and that's a whole other video. But literally, of a lot of, unfortunately, there have been black American men, or even those, well, because he's not a black American, he was an immigrant. But literally, this whole guise of unity, but you just want to have access to white women. So that's a whole other conversation of what you're really fighting for. But with Eartha Kitt, she famously also said, like, you know, race is a social construct. She was married to a white man because she wanted black men, but they didn't want her. Sammy Davis Jr. did, who would lie. He said he had like Puerto Rican. He actually was Cuban. That's another conversation.
Black Cuban.
Yeah, that whole thing. And it's like, so with Eartha, it's like she already came from just a completely horrible background of being kicked out, being too light-skinned, being this and that. And also
being a child of rape, which has to be traumatic.
I mean, and we're so accustomed to trauma as black Americans, like that's seen as normal. That's a problem. We're so accustomed to that. So even how she grew up, like trying to do everything herself, but also during that time frame of, and we still are, I feel, we're not that far removed from that mindset, because
not at all.
It's all about proving how far from black you are. I remember growing up, like it's all about proving, oh yeah, like people are like, oh yeah, well, my grandma's white, my mom's white, I'm white. It's like, it's all about how close you are to whiteness. So you had people back in the day, people who still do it. Apparently Trina, for example, who was saying she was Dominican or some shit. I don't know if that's true, but I don't know how true that is.
She is West Indian.
Yeah, I mean, people were saying that, oh, you're just saying that, blah, blah, blah. And she very much could be, especially being in Miami and things like that. But it's like, there's still this thing that a lot of black Americans do. I'm not saying necessarily her, but it's all about how can I show how black I'm not. you know, because being black is seen as a bad thing until somebody says it's a good thing, and then you want to be proud of it. So we have a lot to still work on, and it goes back.
Or until you can get some perks from it, and then you have everybody try to climb in the motherfucking oppression boat.
Because it's like, when people think about the William Lynch letter, for example, people always do light skin, dark skin. I obviously was part of it, but it also is woman versus man. It's also young versus old, and we're still dealing with the same type of issues. Maybe we're kind of stepping out of it, but we're not walking fast enough. There's still a lot of issues that we're still dealing with.
I don't think enough people are prepared to have contemporary dialogues around what we're talking about. I feel like we've basically been told and taught and trained and brainwashed to talk in certain ways about race, to talk in certain ways about gender, to talk in certain ways about relationships, to talk in certain ways about, again, like ethnicity, nationality, and oppression, and community, and all these things. And so when you start having dialogues that are outside of the narrative that we've kind of already been like force-fed for so long, people really push back against it. It makes them upset, it makes them uncomfortable. They don't know, and they don't know how to talk about it. They don't want to have those conversations, which is part of why I even wanted to start doing the Black Americans, because I also felt like there were a lot of people that wanted to have the dialogues like what we're doing now, and felt like they didn't have a space for it, felt like they didn't have a platform for it, and that every time they tried to talk about it, it just got like shut down.
Yeah, we didn't. I have this conversation with friends all the time, my Black American friends.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, but I felt like also, and again, like maybe this is a part of our culture, like our ethnicity as Black Americans. I feel like Black Americans have these type of conversations amongst ourselves all the time. These are the type of conversations that we have, you know, at the motherfucking cookout, even though like no more handing out motherfucking cookout passes, invites, none of that. That shit's lame. I don't know who
started that.
Like cut that shit out. That shit's whack. But it's just like these are the conversations that we do have in real life, like at the cookout, at the barbecue, at somebody's house playing spades, at the bar. It might get loud. We might start clapping. We might start yelling. We might start getting up, running around, getting in each other's faces. But we have these type of dialogues, and I just felt like I was not seeing that being represented anywhere. Not anywhere. Not in any of the TV shows. Not in any of the movies. Not in any of the anything. I had to go watch like some old ass like August Wilson shit. Shout out to August Wilson, who's like a genius, Black American playwright from Pittsburgh, to be like, oh, I see something that I feel like I can relate to, because it's just like, excuse me, that aspect of the way that we communicate and have conversations I felt like I was not seeing represented. And I just feel like these are the type of conversations that we need to have. These are the type of dialogues that we need to have. And also even just in terms of like discussing culture and like recording it and like archiving it and like showing like this is the way we talk, this is where we live, we are in Philly, this is how we look, this is how we act, this is us, and we are our own ethnicity, and we are our own identity, and we are like ourselves.
And proud of it.
I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. That could probably be the end. How long was that?